Good evening, everybody. I hope you're all well. We'll just wait for Tara to join us and then we will be ready. How are you all tonight? You all well? Where is everybody from? Pop in the comments where you're all from. I'd like to see where everyone's from and where everyone's listening from. Hi, Manami. We'll just wait for Tara to join us. Got someone from Bristol. Hi, Jack. Right, we're just waiting for Tara. She should be on soon. So we've got someone from Bristol, someone from Manami's in London, Devon, from all over, aren't we? Let's get Tara. Where's Tara? So we've got someone from Reading watching. We're just waiting for Tara to come and join us, and then we'll be talking this evening about layering, hostings and everything lashes. Hi Vicky, how are you? Oh, here's Tara, she's on. Oh, we've got someone from New York, someone from Maidenhead. It's lovely to see where everyone's from. What time is it in New York? Hi Tara, oh you're
Hey, hi. I'm just trying to get it in the most flattering position ever, but it's not working.
I was going to say you were sideways then.
Yeah.
Talk to you like this.
Yeah.
Oh, look at you with your lovely new salon behind you.
I
Knew
know.
that would be it.
I know. It's such a shame that none of my clients can see it yet. So I'm a little bit too. Now I need to put my stool a little bit higher up, I think. Hold on.
It's okay. Oh, so it's 4 o'clock in New York. What's the weather like in New York? It's been miserable and rainy in the UK today.
Oh, that's better. I'm higher up now.
I'm just finding out where everyone's from that's watching. We've got people from Bristol, Devon, Reading, London, someone from New York watching.
Wow. Got some wine.
Got some wine. Oh, I'm on the juice tonight. Just I've had such a rushed around day today.
Hi,
Right.
Vicky. Hi, Emily.
Everyone's on. Right, so Tara, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. A bit of an up and down day, but I've kind of sorted myself out. Had a bit of a moment, but yeah, I'm good, thank you. About you?
Yeah, good. I've had a bit of a funny day as well today, to be fair. I almost forgot the clapping. I felt horrific. My girls, my girls came running downstairs saying, "Mummy, everyone's clapping." So we made the last sort of 10 seconds of clapping this evening.
Same, I'm going to have to start setting an alarm. I literally was so busy talking to Jeremy, and then I was actually listening to you and Jade's conversation from last night.
Yeah.
Talking to Vicky, and I'm talking to Jade about other things, and then I was like, oh my God, I've missed it. And I felt so bad. I was like,
I know.
God. So
you feel like you've let the team down, don't you, when you've not clapped?
One of my neighbours messaged, and she'd missed it as well. So we were like, right, next week we need to set an alarm. So you just get carried away, like talking to other people and doing other things. So yeah, I felt really bad, really bad.
So welcome everybody to Lash Chat Live this evening. Tonight I'm joined by Tara Fisher from Farnham Lashes. So Tara, before we begin, I know everyone in the industry I think does know you or has heard of you, but to those people who maybe don't know who you are, can you just give a little bit of an introduction to yourself and your business?
Yep. So I've been around for what feels like an eternity, actually. So I trained in 2009. I was one of the first people to be trained by the Eyelash Emporium, by Wilma there. And she kind of took me under her wing. And I then became a trainer for them. And I trained for them for quite a long time. And then I left, just because you know what it's like, Genevieve. Training is really hard work. And when you're building a business and you've got lots of clients and then you've got lots of students, I just had a bit of trouble trying to kind of balance that life. and it all got a bit too much at one point. So I decided, right, I'm going to stop teaching and concentrate on just my client base. So I stopped teaching. I run now. I've got my salon based at home, which everyone can see, all my lovely new wallpaper behind me.
I love the new decor.
Well, I got the inspiration from Cheryl Taylor and also from Ava as well. Ava's always got like black and white monochrome stuff in her salons, and Cheryl just decorated her house, and she had it in her daughter's little salon room, and I was like, oh my God, I love that wallpaper. So Jeremy was going to decorate, and I was like, please do some wallpaper. I really want some wallpaper. So yeah, I'm so pleased with it, but it's just a shame that can see it at the moment.
No, it is because I'm similar actually, where we've just come back home and had the extension done because we moved out for 5 months. So we got home and the salon was just decorated. I think I did about 2 weeks of work, and then I had to shut shop, and I was like, it's not even finished.
I know, it's so sad. The only person that's seen it is Nelly and a couple of people that I've been doing like online mentoring, but like all my clients are looking at the pictures and they're like, oh my God, it looks amazing. And I'm like, yeah, I can't wait for you to see it. But yeah, it's oh, hi Nelly, she's watching.
I just saw that pop up.
Yeah.
So Tara, I always start the Lash Chat Lives with asking everyone, how have you been coping with lockdown and with COVID-19?
I've been all right, I think. I've got this little tactic at the moment where I just kind of put my head in the sand and don't really think about it.
Yeah.
I've stopped listening to the news because it's quite depressing, and I'm just quite happy in my own little bubble. You know, it's really nice to spend some time with Nelly, and Jeremy's at home a lot more now. He's just come home now for 2 weeks. He goes home for 2 weeks and then he goes to work for a week. But it's weird. I've just kind of settled into it, and I'm just getting on with it, really. It is what it is. If I think about it too much and watch the news too much, I get quite upset about it, and I then start to kind of panic that it's going to go on for longer than I anticipate. So I just stick my head in the sand and ignore it, to be honest.
I can completely relate to that. I just had my third now, I think, podcast with Joanna. I think she's on here now. Hi, Joanna. And she said to me, oh, so we've had the news that Boris has had the baby and he's back. Yeah, and I was like, oh, is Boris back? I didn't even know he was back. And I didn't even know he'd had a baby. So I've done exactly the same as you, that I've just shut off from it all. I'm sick of hearing the news. I'll just wait. To be fair, social media tells me a lot of what's going on.
Well, that's the problem as well, is that social media is full of rumours, and there's people talking about when we go back and what we're going to do. And it's like, until we know when we're allowed to go back or when it's safe to go back, that's the thing. If they said we could go back next week, I wouldn't want to go back. I don't want to go back until it's safe. I don't want to put myself and my family at risk. So yeah, I'm just ignorant at the moment.
Yeah. So let's start talking about a topic that we've promised everyone this evening. So I think you've recently released, or not recently actually, it's been out a little while, your layering manual, haven't you?
Yeah, it was a little thing that I did. I presented a couple of workshops at Ariane's event last year and at the Always Bonita event. And I did a little talk on layering. And so I did this little booklet for it. And everyone was like, oh, you should sell this. And I was like, oh, no one's going to want to buy that. And literally since September, it just keeps selling out all the time. And the feedback has been really, really good on it.
Yeah.
And I love it. I really love it. Everyone keeps asking if I'm going to write another booklet. And I'm like, oh, no, I don't think so. I should do. But I just love this one. I think it's great.
Yeah. So what is it in regards to layering? Let's talk about it a little bit. Obviously, I know that in your booklet, obviously it's your business, so you don't want to give away too much of what's in it. But what would you say with layering is most important? Why is it important to layer our lashes?
Well, the main thing about this manual is I've stripped it right the way back. So because what tends to happen is sometimes people just get really confused with layering and they think it's really complicated. And they make it really complicated, but it doesn't have to be. Yeah. So what I've done with this is I've stripped it right back, and it literally is perfect for anyone who is a beginner, anybody who is, you know, wherever you are in your lash journey, you can take a tip from it. And it really is back to basics, and it really does help you just make your sets look a little bit fuller, or try and achieve that top line. And there's a few little tricks and tips in there, a few little things that I've learned along the way that I share with people. But that's basically the crux of it. It's kind of, making it really uncomplicated for people to look at, because I think some people think, oh my god, I need to put this layer here and I've got this length here and this curl here, and it doesn't have to be confusing. It really
Yeah, there are many different ways in which we can layer the lashes as well. There's many different techniques, but I think the basic form of layering is just bringing the shorter layers on the top line, isn't it? And staggering your lengths. And I think that it's learning how to spot the layers within the lashes, and it's not always okay we drop down one length, because on some layer jumps you maybe need to drop down two. It's also about how we're going to reach those layers. And I think especially when I'm judging competitions, layering is definitely something that the top line is you do deduct a lot of points for, because you do end up seeing a lot of staggered sets where you get this jagged top line, and you just think if only they'd have layered, it would have made the transition so much better.
Absolutely. I've just started to judge a couple of competitions. I've just been asked to do the Lash Uni competition, and I started judging it today, and it's one of the first things that I look at is the layers. It's what my eye is drawn to. When I trained with Maven and Vicky and Bryony, it's one of those things that as a lash artist I try and perfect all the time on my sets, is that top line, that smooth top line. So it's one of the first things I notice.
Just want to double check that everyone can still see us okay, because Jack and Charles just said that we're frozen. Can you just give us a thumbs?
It's frozen as well.
Just give us a thumbs up if you can still hear and see us okay. Just give us a thumbs up. So Flash Lash, she said that she can see us. Yeah, they can still see us. It might just be the Wi-Fi, guys, because every area is different and everyone's on the Wi-Fi at the moment, so it might be a bit glitchy. But if you do get any connection problems, don't worry, because we do post the lives back onto our YouTube channel, so you will be able to get it to re-watch after 24 hours once it's gone off the stories. So I'm such a fan of taping, Tara. Do you tape when you layer, or do you not tape when you layer? Because some people don't use tape where they work lash to lash, they just work with the layers as they see them. But me personally, I do work lash to lash still, but I tend to go through, and then at the end I tend to tape everything up, get all my underneath layers covered and double check everything, and then go through to make sure everything's as it should be.
I have to say I'm the same as you. So I work lash to lash, and I generally do the majority of them as I'm going along. But at the end of the set, I will then tape up. I know a lot of people don't like taping up, and sometimes it can distort the lashes, and some people are worried about taking the tape off, which obviously in my manual I've got a little tip that Joanna taught me actually, of how to get the tape off. But yeah, so I will do lash to lash, and then at the end I will just double check that I've got everything. I love taping up. Amy just said here actually she loves taping up as well. But
yeah, I think with the taping up method as well, you need to make sure that you brush the lashes through before you tape them up, because you don't want any of the lashes crossing over and then putting them all backwards. If you are going to tape up, it's the removal that's important.
Yeah.
With me, I mean, I'm happy to share what I do. I use the isopropanol alcohol to take the tape off. But if you've not been shown how to use the isopropanol to remove the tape, then you need to make sure that you just get shown by someone how to do that, or read it in a manual. It's just because it is 99.9% neat alcohol, you need to make sure that you're using it sparingly and not overdoing it.
Absolutely. That's Joanna, that's the tip that Joanna taught me, and I teach that to my students as well. It's a really good tip. And I showed it to somebody when I was mentoring them yesterday, and they were like, oh my God, they could actually see that. I mean, I was obviously doing it on a mannequin head, and she could just see the tape go clear. And she was like, oh my God, that is amazing. So yeah, it's fantastic. But sometimes I might just hold back with my tweezer, or I might hold back with my finger, or I might hold back with a mascara wand. I know Vicky holds back with her finger quite a lot and does it that way.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of people that don't use tape. It's personal preference, really.
Yeah, I definitely think when it comes to using tape as well, I know we use micropore to hold the lashes up, but it's really important that you're using a good quality micropore, because sometimes you can get micropore that's quite paper-like. Have you ever had that? and
Yeah,
it
sometimes when
doesn't.
you buy, yeah, cheaper ones, sometimes they're like that, aren't they?
Yeah, it doesn't absorb the isopropanol as well. So basically, it makes the top layer wet, but it doesn't go through to the underneath. So when you pull it off, it doesn't release the stick. So the best micropore is the 3M one, but
Yeah,
you need to get it from a reputable seller, because there are a lot of 3M distributors where it's definitely not the 3M tape. It's more of a fabricy tape, isn't it? Almost the 3M.
yeah.
It's got more of a material than a paper-like
And
finish.
also you find some of them, the cheaper ones, sometimes are quite, do you remember that old toilet paper you used to get at school? I don't know whether you might not be old enough for this, but it used to be like tracing paper. And that's what the tape's like. It's really hard and really, it's just horrible. So yeah, the 3M is, I'd rather spend the extra bit of money just to make sure that you're getting
Yeah.
quality tape to use. Yeah.
And you're also better to buy it in bulk as well. Rachel, Too Glamour, said that her favourite thing is to use iPads to tape back. And Jack and Charles has just said, I have a client who's allergic to the micropore. Can we use anything else to tape up? So yeah, you can use the pads to hold the lashes up. The only thing I find with the pads, again, it depends on what pads you use, is sometimes the gel on the back of the pads can pull at the lashes almost, and then it's securing it. Yeah, it's not. They're quite flimsy, aren't they?
Pads can be quite big, and then also you've got a cost implication with that, because the pads are quite expensive and the tape in comparison is a lot cheaper. So that's why I don't tend to use the pads. But like you say, it's horses for courses and whatever a personal preference is.
Yeah. So what do you think about when it comes to mapping your sets for layering? I personally just map my lengths that I'm using and my curls. I'm not someone that writes the three layer lengths, because I sometimes find that you don't always need to stick to that. It's almost, you have to do it organically as you're going through your sets. But you do see a lot of people overcomplicating their lash maps, don't you? Where they're writing every single number on.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? Do you do that with your lash maps? So
No, I don't.
your layering.
No, I don't. So I literally will write the main size and the main curl, and and like you say, it's kind of organic as you're going along. And sometimes you might look at a lash and you think, and you should be putting a certain size onto it, and then you think, no, that's not going to look right there, so you change it. And that comes with experience, with practice, and using your mirror as well. So I don't like to write all of the sizes on, because just get really confused as well sometimes, and you're like, oh, what am I doing? And
yeah, it's also very time consuming as well. I think I see some of these maps and I think, oh, they look beautiful, and they've done them in all different colors, but I think that must have taken you probably about 15 minutes to write out, and that's 15 minutes of lashing gone. I think maybe with your newer clients, you can give yourself more of a guide when you haven't styled them. But when it's your regulars and you've recorded on their record card what they have, you can pretty much go with the flow. But what I think is really important is when you're trying to get that perfect top line and layering, is when the client opens their eyes at the end. I mean, even the most experienced lash artists, the client can open their eyes and you think that lash isn't sitting right. It takes you 2 seconds to lay that client back down, take that lash off, and also knowing what lashes not to lash, I think, because everyone thinks that you maybe have to have that 100% coverage, but there's definitely those lashes that you shouldn't lash. I think I saw a post on Adorn. Did you see that one? She did, Diana Prangley, she did about the inners, how you don't have to lash every single lash all the time.
Yeah. It's really interesting, because as a lash artist, we aspire to A, having the top line, and B, getting 100% coverage. But you're right, if there is a lash that is wonky, and if you attach something to it, it's just going to look wonky as well, no matter what you do, or it's sitting a lot higher up, then you just don't need to attach to it.
No.
That is where using a mirror will certainly help as well. I used to use one of those tiny dental mirrors, but now I've got, I don't know where it is now. I've got like here it is here. I've got like one of those bigger ones.
Yeah. So do you? I don't use a mirror as I'm working. So talk to us about how you would utilize a mirror whilst you're working.
So I would use that, number one, to kind of make sure that your your eyes are still closed throughout the treatment, because sometimes you're moving the eyelid around, and you're moving the tape around sometimes. So you just want to make sure that the eye is still closed and there's no fumes getting in, but also every time I come to a point where I'm transitioning maybe a curl or maybe into a length, then that's where I would get my mirror out and I would just literally hold it in front and just check that it was sitting flush and it was sitting, especially on those top layers where you're kind of like, should I add a lash to this or not add a lash to this? You can put it on, check it with the mirror, and if it sits perfectly, it's fine. If it doesn't, take it off.
Flash Lash Beauty, Joanna, did Diana say make sure you don't choose those models for competitions because obviously they want to see all lashes in comps? Couldn't lash without my mirror. Yeah, so I mean, I guess when you're choosing your models for your competition, you want to choose someone that you've done before, definitely. And if they are someone that has those really like inners that are so far in that maybe aren't going to look right lash, then I probably wouldn't use them because you might get marked down. I didn't actually realise this until I was judging live in Norway, but some of the judges in Norway told me that they'd seen people, not in the Norway competition, I don't want to slander that or anyone that competed, but that apparently in some competitions people have been known to pluck out the inner lashes so it looks like they've got full coverage. Apparently this is a thing. I had never heard of it before, but apparently people, if they've lashed a model and maybe there's two lashes that aren't going to look right, they'll just pull them out.
I have heard that, and I've heard that. I can see why people would do. If you say you've got a model and they've got a top lash that, you know, that on a top layer that's sticking out, I can see why people would do that.
Yeah, but yeah, you just don't pluck someone's lashes out. I just think sneaky, isn't it? Like what these lash artists will do to win a point in a competition, pluck your lashes.
I mean, it's so tough, isn't it, when you're doing competitions and you just want to produce your best work.
Yeah, I do think, yeah, but Joanna, I think that if you were going to have a model that has those sort of lashes, then I wouldn't use them for a competition. You'd probably be better to use someone that's got that perfect lash line. But definitely, we don't advertise plucking lashes out.
I mean, it's really hard because everybody wants to choose a model that fits a certain criteria, but actually, that you also, not only do they need to have, you know, certain aspects of their aesthetics, they've also got to have really, really good lashes. And if you've got that model in to do a set of lashes on them and then middle of their cycle and they've got loads of like really rubbish baby lashes, you're going to really struggle, and you might want to do it in 2 weeks time. It's really hard when you do a competition set because you're putting all of your everything that you've learned to do this perfect set, and if the lashes aren't going to play ball, then it's just devastating.
Yeah, Charlotte Salmon, lash artist, my eyes are watering just thinking about the plucking. Yeah, no, it's brutal. I just didn't even, do you know what, it didn't even cross my mind that someone would do that, but I guess people will do anything to win or place in a competition. but no, back to layering. I definitely think the idea of a layering manual is a really good idea, Tara, and I think that anyone that hasn't had a look at it, definitely think about having it as your lockdown reading material, shall we say. Okay. I think definitely taping methods help with layering. It's so important to layer the lashes, making sure that you're spotting the layers, lifting up with tape if you can, and altering your lengths to get that perfect top line. In regards to something else that you're known for, Tara, is hostings, isn't it?
Yeah, I do like to host. I love them actually, and I'm gutted because I had a couple of workshops booked, and I was hosting Vicky and I was hosting Jamie just before the lockdown. So I was gutted that we had to kind of postpone those, but we will get those back in the diary as soon as we can. The girls call me the hostess with the mostess.
So, Tara, obviously you do like to do hostings. You've done quite a few now. What tips do you think you can give to people that are maybe thinking about hosting either in the UK or abroad? What are the benefits of it? Why would you host? And maybe talk to us a little bit about the organisation of it. So how do you work out your hostings?
So it does take quite a lot of work, and I don't think people realise how much work goes on behind the scenes of it. So when I do it, I literally take over and do everything. So I do all of the advertising, I take all of the money, all of the payments, I deal with all the inquiries about where to stay, how to travel to the venue, I organise all the food, I organise the venue. And so basically the trainers should then just be able to rock up and present and do their thing, and they shouldn't have to worry about anything in that respect. And people that know me know that I'm quite what's the word? I like to be organised.
Yeah.
And
you love a list.
I love a list. I like to be organised, and I'm a bit of a control freak as well. So I like having the control of organising the whole event. The thing for me is the reason I do it is because, number one, I've got quite a big community of lash artists locally to me. And I've been lashing for a long time, and I've done a lot of mentoring and training and stuff, you know, with lots of people. But a lot of the girls here locally haven't, and they don't want to travel to places, but if I give it to them on their doorstep, then they will come and they will spend time with these trainers. And also, for argument's sake, Vicky's in Essex, and it's quite a distance for the girls in Surrey to get to Essex sometimes. So if I host Vicky, then it just opens the floodgates for girls to get to me, and it gives them such an opportunity to train with some really, really brilliant. I've hosted Jade, I've hosted Lou recently with her NYC Lashes, hosted Vicky a couple of times, and Bryony. So it really does open the floodgates for everybody, kind of the Surrey, Hampshire kind of borders.
So it makes trainings more accessible to people that maybe wouldn't want to travel.
Yeah, definitely.
Have you thought about hosting international educators?
Yeah, I haven't done that yet, and I think that's a bit more complicated, because obviously I know that people have hosted Trina from Maven and stuff, and then you've got hotels and flights and all those kind of things, and I haven't ventured. I know you've done it with a couple of your girls when you had Pixie over last year, and you've got Diane coming this year, which I can't wait for that training. I've not ventured that far, so I'll probably pick your brains about that at some point.
Yeah.
And
it is. I mean, to be fair, I mean, I don't think there's much difference. Well, there probably is a difference in terms of how much organising there is in terms of event organising and hosting. But it's all a very similar concept. It's mainly about having your finger on the ball sort of thing, and just making sure you keep up to date with all the admin and stuff. But in regards to hosting internationally, there's not much difference. It's just, again, like you say, it's just slightly more organising. It's trust as well. I think a massive thing is trust, in that the person that you're investing the time in to get them over, obviously you're putting your reputation on the line as someone that's hosting them, your business. You've got to put your trust into the trainer that you're then getting over, because they could decide not to come and then you're stuck. But I mean, I know that could happen in the UK, but I think with the UK educators, obviously, if they're only travelling UK to UK, it's only a matter of an hour or a couple of hours drive or an overnight stay. But when people have got to travel by plane, they can say yes, they love the idea, but when it gets nearer to the time, sometimes anxiety can set in as well. So you need to do your research as to who you're hosting, and have they been hosted before, would you say?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm very careful about the people that I do host. They generally are people that I have that I've trained with before, actually. So I don't think, or people that I know. So when Lou came to do the NYC, I was desperate to learn the NYC, the wispy kind of lashes. But I'd met Lou a couple of times before on different training courses. So we built a rapport before. So everybody that I've hosted, I've got a rapport with. I've met them at events, or I've met them at training things, or have chatted to them. You can't just message somebody on Instagram and say, I want to host you. I think you have to build that kind of friendship and rapport with them first, so that they then get to know you as a person. They know how organised I am. They know how on the ball I am. They know that when they come to one of my events that I organise, they're just going to turn up and it's all done for them, and it will run pretty damn smooth.
One thing that I do when it comes to hostings, and I mean, I've only really, to be fair, when I say hostings, I've only really hosted Pixie for an actual training, and obviously I've got Diana coming up, but especially with international training, what I tend to do when I'm organising something like that is, as the organiser, I'll hold the payments, if that makes sense. So to make sure that the people that we're hosting come down, and we've got that security that if they don't come, I can then instantly refund the people that are attending without any glitches. Whereas I think if you was to release that money to the person that's coming in and they don't come, it could all get a bit complicated. So I think if you are thinking of hosting, the best thing to do is to keep control of all the payments until the training day, and you know they're there, you know everything's been done, and once everyone's happy, you can then release the funds and everyone gets paid. It's a bit like a job, isn't it? If someone's doing a job, you don't pay your window cleaner to clean your windows until he's cleaned them. So.
And I've got spreadsheets, and what I've actually done recently as well is I opened 2 separate bank accounts as well, because before I was keeping it all the money was being kept together. And before lockdown, I was organising 2 workshops, like I say, so I had 2 lots of money coming in and my own salon money coming in as well. And I was like, this is ridiculous. I've got to keep.
Don't know what to which. Yeah.
Don't know which, and I've got a spreadsheet for Vicky and a spreadsheet for Jamie and a spreadsheet for this and the other. So what I did was I went to the bank and I've opened a couple of separate accounts. So when the money comes in, it's all in separate accounts. I keep track of it as well. And yeah, and it doesn't get paid to the host until they come. And it's much easier to keep an eye on it that way.
Yeah, as a business, it gives you more security as well. We just had a question. iBeauty Emporium, where are lash competitions held, and where would you find out about them, and also training? So just mention what sort of training you're after, and then we'll be able to answer that question. Where are lash competitions held? They are held all over the world, online. You can go to live competitions to find out about them. There's a really useful Facebook group. What is it? It's Lash Competitions and... Yeah, iBeauty, if you send me a message, just so I can find you in the inbox afterwards, I'll send you the link to a Facebook group that is just for competitions, and it's a really useful one. A lot of the forums do have competitions darted around. I know on the Lash Like You Mean It page, they've just put a post up today about competitions, so that's a big feed that's going at the moment for all relevant competitions. But yeah, there's a Facebook group that you can join that is just solely for people to advertise competitions, and that's probably the best one to go into if you're looking to find out where to enter.
Well, I kind of lose track sometimes, and I think when I did look on that website, there was, there's so many, and the categories are so different, so there's one for everybody. I saw that when you were talking to Jade yesterday, somebody had asked about when is the best time to enter a competition, and I think you said the earlier you do it in your career, the better, really, because once you get over 2 or 3 years, you then get put into different categories.
Yeah. The amount of, and this is no word of a lie, the amount of entries that I get sent in for the Lash Social, obviously, yeah, we've got a competition running at the moment, but it ends this weekend, the Lash Social. I forgot to mention that. I mentioned 4 categories. Sorry, there's loads of people asking about the competition pages. Anyone that wants me to send them the link, send a message to the Lash Social inbox, and as soon as I've come off with Tara, I'll put the link to the competition page to each of you, and it will tell you. But one thing that's really interesting is what I was going to say is that obviously I go through and control and do all the admin for all the competition for the Lash Social, and with a competition, I state with our competition that it's your responsibility to enter into the correct category. So for our one, if you're a beginner, you have to have been lashing for less than 3 years since your first classic qualification, and not be an educator. So if you're an educator and you've only been lashing for 1 year, you still can't be a beginner because you're classed as an educator. But the amount of entries that I get coming into the Lash Social, that either they send me a message and say, I did my training in 2010, but then I didn't lash for a long time, so I've only been back lashing for a year, so I'm going to enter into beginner. And that's not how lash competitions work. No. It goes off certificates 9 times out of 10. So unfortunately, even though that person did take the decision to put lashing down for a while, they did put lashing down for a while. Even if they have only been backlashing for a year, they're still classed as an expert because they did their first classic qualification so long ago. So exactly what Tara just said, if you're a newbie or new to the lash industry, entering a competition sooner is so much better, because you'll be classed as a beginner still and in the beginner category.
And once you've won a competition, then you end up going into a higher category as well, don't you?
Depends on the competition, because the Lash Social, our one, we don't do that. So we don't. If you're a beginner and you've been lashing for less than 3 years and you've won an award before, you can still be a beginner.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, because I don't think it's fair. Just because you've won something, you should be moved up a category. I think. My opinion, obviously this isn't of the whole industry, this is my personal opinion. I feel that if you're an educator, you can't be classed as a beginner, because you're classed as an advanced therapist that's offering training. So you can't be a beginner and an educator. The two don't sit in the same box.
Yeah, makes sense.
And if you're classed as a judge, so some people maybe have done so well in their career, hit the ground running, only been lashing for 2 years, won loads of awards, and have now been asked to judge competitions. So in theory, they've still been lashing less than 3 years. But if they're then classed as a judge, if they've judged other competitions, in my opinion, they then can't be a beginner. So like judges, educators, trainers, however you want to name it, I don't think can be in a beginner category. But I think just because you've won an award doesn't mean you shouldn't be classed as a beginner. It just means that you're doing very well for where you are in your
I think
career.
that's a good, I think, yeah, like you say, every competition is different. And I think that the important thing is for girls, when they do enter into these competitions, is to check the criteria of where they're going to be. I entered one a couple of weeks ago, just one where it said, you know, if you've got something on your camera roll, send it in. And I actually sent it in under the wrong category. So then I had to email again and say, actually, it needs to be in a different category. But so you have to be quite careful about making sure that, you know, it's your responsibility to put it into the right category.
It is, because the admin is so difficult. I mean, this Lash Social competition has been entered a lot less because obviously of the lockdown and COVID-19. But normally we have over 100 entries from all over the world, and we can't physically go through every single entry. So we ask everyone, we do go through every entry, but we can't check all their background. So we check their certificates that they send us. If they don't send us a certificate, we say to them, you need to produce a certificate. One lady, this competition I've had a bit of difficulty with, because she said that she got her classic certificate through her last employer, and when she left, her last employer's still got the certificate. But I still said to her, like, I can't accept your entry without that certificate, because I can't take her word as gospel if she was entering into a beginner category. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no. Okay.
So to some extent, you have to make sure that you're entering the correct category. Merlin's just said, oh no, sorry, Safi's just said, what was the SR signature? That was one I mentioned the other week.
Yeah, it was. It was you and you inspired me to enter that. And I had a set that I'd done, and they sat on my camera roll, and they were actually for a competition, but there was something about them I wasn't quite happy with, so I didn't enter them. And then that competition came up, and I was like, do you know what? They're just sitting on my camera roll doing nothing. I'm going to enter them and just see how I get on.
If you go onto the SR signature Instagram, Safi, it's on there. I think isn't Zoe Marsden a judge?
I'm not sure who the judges are on that one.
I might be wrong, but I think they've just announced Zoe as one, the owner of Lash Couture.
And it wasn't expensive to enter. I think it might have been like £15 or something. It wasn't a lot of money.
I don't know what the price was. I just know that it was one that you could enter previous works into. You didn't have to prepare specific works for that, which is a bit like the Lash Festival competition, isn't it? You can use works for that, can't you?
Yeah, on that one you can.
Yeah, so we've spoke about hostings, we spoke about layering, Tara. What's going on with the world of you at the moment then? So what are your plans moving forward when we go back after lockdown? Are you still educating clients? Are you still connected with Lashbase? You are?
Not so much with Lashbase anymore. We've parted ways. I'm just going to kind of go off I'm going to be teaching under my own brand when we go back. So I'm coming, at the minute, I just do mentoring. Haven't taught full courses for quite some time. Anyway, so I've decided to come out of retirement. Sorry, I'm holding my camera now because it's, I've got it on charge. So going to come out of retirement, and I'm going to teach for myself. I've got my friend's got a really lovely little salon on the Surrey, Hampshire borders. I'm going to be teaching from there. So I'm in the middle of doing my manual at the minute. Oh my God,
it's a marathon, isn't it? It is such a marathon.
Just killing me doing it. It's absolutely killing me, but I want it to be perfect. So I'm not going to rush it. I just want to take my time. Poor Nelly is like a model every 5 minutes. I'm like, Nelly, I need a photograph of your eye. Or Nelly, I need a photograph of this. I need a photograph of layers. And she's like, Mum, am I getting paid for being in your manual? But so I'm going to.
And then you think you finish the section of your manual, and then you think, no, I forgot to add that, and you go back and you redo it all.
Honestly, the bit about adhesives and allergic reactions, I just keep going back and adding more stuff to it. And these poor students are going to be like, their brains are going to be kind of blown. But yeah, it's taken a long time, but I just want to get it perfect. So the plan is to reinstigate teaching again, carry on with the mentoring. I've been doing some online mentoring in the last couple of weeks, which I've really enjoyed. So I mean, I might even continue with that, but you know, back with my clients, can't wait to see those as well. But yeah, going back to teaching is a big thing for me, out on my own, and just, you know, supporting other brands as well now. I'm really into like helping my friends build their brands as well. So
let's talk about products then. If we're talking about brands, what are you using at the moment, Tara? What are your must-haves?
For me, so I do have a lot of lash-based products. I've always loved lash-based. And I've always used their products, but I've recently kind of been trying out new things as well. So for my student kits, I'm going to be I've tasted some lashes with Laura Bell and with Emma from Lash Lashes. Yes, and those are lovely. But for my kits, I'm going to be using Vicky Rugg lashes because they are just my absolute faves for fanning and for classics as well. I really love them. So Vicky Rugg lashes I'm going to use, but the kits I think I'm just going to mix and match a little bit from, you know, maybe a few bits from Laura, a few bits from Emma, a few bits from Lash Base, a few bits that I'll find other places. But I don't think there's one supplier out there that could do the whole job for me.
Yeah, and what is your adhesive at the moment? What adhesive are you using at the moment, Tara?
So before lockdown, I was using Smart Plus. And
Helga, from Helga. Yeah, I used to use that adhesive.
And then I was using, Lash Base had brought out the Ultra, which was a super fast one. So the only reason I didn't use the Extreme Plus was because it wasn't quite fast enough for me. But Ultra came out, and that then became my new favourite. But I just road tested from Emma Smith, her new one. Have you got it?
Crystal.
Yeah. No, not the crystal, because that's a clear one, isn't it? So I don't know where it is in the cupboard here.
I've got, literally, honestly, the amount of adhesives that I've been sent these last couple of weeks, it's ridiculous.
So I've got the diamond.
Sending me stuff.
So the diamond one is the black one, which is equivalent to the crystal, I think. And I've written on it how fast it dries. So it's 0.5 seconds, and that's the black one. And that has been, just put it back in the cupboard. That has been incredible. So I'm hoping that when we return back to work, that's going to be my my go-to one. I've just also, Emma sent me some other samples, and I've given them to a couple of students to try out, so that then I can make a decision about what to put in my student kits as well.
Because Emma's selling I've noticed that she actually sells pre-prepared kits, doesn't she, on her website?
She does, yeah, she does, and Laura does as well. So there's an opportunity to kind of pick and mix with both of the girls actually, and get all of their products in there. So
yeah, IB Beauty Emporium. So what was the name of the adhesive? So Tara was just saying that she used to use the Smart Plus adhesive, or before lockdown. The Smart Plus adhesive is a very fast setting adhesive. It's from Helga Halapi's range, which is called Luxury Eye. It is quite a fumey adhesive though. Do you find it a bit fumey?
It can be.
Yeah, it's quite a strong adhesive, but it is very good, and it is a very fast setting adhesive. I used to use that as well. But then we were just talking about the Lush Lash adhesive. The crystal adhesive is their clear one, which is making a bit of a name for itself in the industry at the moment. I'm seeing a lot of people using it.
I've seen
but Tara was just saying that she's been using and trialing the diamond adhesive, which is the black version if you don't like a clear adhesive. I mean, there's no right adhesive. I mean, we're here reading names off. It gets confusing, but I mean, I personally am still using Power Bond. I mean,
it really is. What works for me might not work for somebody else, and what works for you might not work for somebody else. It really does depend. I've written a couple of blogs on kind of glues and stuff, and getting the best out of your glue. It really does depend on
your environment.
Absolutely.
It depends on the technique that you do, the speed that you work at. If you're a really fast worker, you really need to get a fast setting adhesive that works in pretty much most environments. But then even if you find that adhesive that you love, if you go to a competition that's a live competition in a setting that you're not used to, you could pick that adhesive up and it will go to pot because it won't be working, especially if you're in a big arena, like for instance the Lash Games at in Olympia. It's a massive room. So then you need to take multiple adhesives with you because it's what everyone's going to work in that occasion.
Definitely. And also with the changing of the seasons as well. So sometimes in the spring I'll use a different glue to the summer. In the winter, if it's raining, it really does depend on your environment. I remember when we did our training with Maven, I was in a room with Bryony. We were in a really, really big room, and Bryony had so many problems with her glue because it just didn't like the environment, and yet other people were using different glues, and it worked perfectly in that environment. So it really is. What if I said this is the best glue in the whole wide world? It might not work for somebody else.
I mean, what's everyone's thoughts watching this? Let's have a little vote in. Write down whether you like clear or black adhesive. I want to know because I'm still black all the way.
I'm black as well.
So
maybe because I can't see what I'm doing with clear.
Yeah, I want to know. So everyone watching, write in the comment box whether you like clear adhesive or black adhesive. I want to see what the most popular comes out as. Okay, so you're creating your own trainings, Tara, so I wish you all the best with that. And you're creating your own manuals. Are your manuals going to be something that you're going to sell, or are they just going to be strictly for your trainings?
I think I'm going to keep them just strictly for my training for the time being. I'm a little bit like Jade, like said yesterday. They're like our little babies at the moment, and I just don't want to share them with everybody.
Yeah.
So I think for the time being, they would just be for my students.
Yeah, I mean, I started selling mine a year and a half ago, I think, and I have always sold them. But I think with the manual, my opinion is the manual has all the information in it, but then when you go on the training, you still get so much more because when you dissect the manuals, and then you get so much more from it. I'm just going back to these clear and black comments because I love it. Merlin has said that she uses both. So in my opinion, I'd use both in terms of if I'm doing a colour set, I would still use clear adhesive. So I do always have a clear adhesive in stock, but for my everyday lashing, I'll use black. But if I'm using a colour adhesive, colour lashes, I'd go clear. How about you, Tara? Just black?
So I would, I've got black. When I did a couple of competition sets, and I started off with clear, and then it started misbehaving, and I rang Vicky.
It was being naughty glue.
Yeah, and I rang Vicky in the middle of a set, and I was like, oh my God, the glue's just, oh my God, I can't use it. She's like, use a black. And I was like, but I've started with a clear. She's like, just switch and use a black. So I just switched back to my regular glue. But yeah, if I was doing fantasy art or doing coloured lashes, then I'd use a clear. But my preference would always be black, mainly because I just can't see what I'm doing. With the
I can't. Do you know what? When Emma sent me this clear adhesive, I said to her, because I was doing one of these, this is how far that I've not got with it. I sat down and then I got bored. I've done one of them sponges.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm doing a green set, but I wanted the clear adhesive to have a play with it. And the first time I put it down on I put the adhesive down, I put my hand straight in it.
That's what I do all the time.
Stuck to it. I was like, oh no.
I do it all the time.
Using black, yeah. Lashes on Fleek by Lou has said that she uses clear in the summer and black in the winter.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so elaborate on that, Lou, please. For what reason are we using clear in the summer and black in the winter? Black, can't see what I'm doing with clear lashes and brows. 100% relate to that. And when Vicky said to me, was it Vicky or was it Frankie, said they use the glue wells? Like, even using that with a clear adhesive, I'd be even worse.
I can't use a glue well, so I teach my students to use glue wells, but I try them every now and again, and I'm like, oh, I can't do it. I'd still go back to my jade stone. I'm just such a dinosaur sometimes on some things. I just refuse to like change. But
stubborn.
Yeah, absolutely.
Safi's put pre-mades need a black too. Feather Lash Pro has put clear only for colour sets. So yeah, I can relate to that. Merlin has said that she's mixed the two.
Oh, that's interesting.
Both together, made like a concoction.
Like a little grey one.
Grey glue. We're starting a new thing. So Merlin, Merlin, tell us, why would you mix the adhesive? Just pop a little comment on there. How about, are you still, do you post wash your sets? Hi Katie, I think she's just joined us.
Oh, hi.
So do you post wash?
So I don't post wash all of my clients. I would if I had somebody who had maybe some sensitivities, but I do nano mist at the end of every set. So that's almost like post washing.
Yeah, so you nano mist.
Yeah.
Yeah, I much prefer to nano mist than to post wash. I don't post wash, and if someone, I know people post wash, like people have had reactions in the past, they say about post washing, but I get a bit on the fence on that, because I sort of think if someone's had a reaction before, I don't know where it stands for insurance purposes. If you know someone's had a reaction before and then you put the set back on them, I don't know if that sort of goes against, do you know what I mean? And then attempting a post wash.
I think if you think that they've had sensitivities, not a full-on reaction, but sensitivities, then it's potentially worth trying again, maybe with a different glue, or maybe with a clear
patch testing again.
And then I would post wash. And I've done that. I did it recently with a girl, and she happened to be a friend of mine, and she was so desperate, and she said, and so we tried a clear glue, and I post washed afterwards. She still had a reaction, and it's still a big fat no for her. But ordinarily I wouldn't post wash, but I absolutely always nano mist everybody.
Yeah, I love a nano mister. It's still quite old school, I think, but I love a nano mister. And the mini coolie, do you use a mini coolie?
Yeah, so it's just like my little posh hairdryer, basically.
Have you seen the new ones, the new bladeless ones that like mini Dysons?
No, I haven't seen that.
I'm gonna get it. I'll show you. Hang on, I'll show you. This is my new toy that got delivered the other day.
Oh my God, that is like a Dyson hairdryer.
It's like a mini Dyson.
That's incredible.
But it's mini.
Wow.
So this is my new, I'm going to try it. Again, I've not had a chance to try it
yet.
Yeah,
that's the trouble with lockdown, isn't it?
This is my new version of the mini coolie. But I just like the look of it on my side.
Yeah, I think it looks really cool. It would match in my room as well, because I'm obviously monochrome, and then I've got a little bit of pink everywhere.
Yeah, you can get them in white and black as well.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, no, I love the mini coolie. I mean, like literally before, when I nano mist, I'm really funny, because I tell my clients are like, oh, this is nice, and I tell them that it's unicorn tears. And they're like, because no one believes that it's water that you're putting onto their lashes. So I always tell them it's unicorn tears, and they think it's hilarious. And then I do use the mini coolie, but yeah, it's I love it. I love a gadget. I've got all of them.
I love a gadget. Coming back to the adhesive, Lashes on Fleek by Lou, who said clear in the summer, black glue in the winter. She's put clear is thicker, slower drying times, and works best in warmer temperatures. Black is thinner, quicker drying time, better in cooler temperatures. This is my theory. I think, again, it depends on the adhesive that you're using. I don't think we can say that's for every clear adhesive, because every adhesive's different, aren't they? Oh, we're still there. We've still got Tara. Bear with me. I've lost Tara. Is everyone still here? Oh, I've still got everyone here. I'm panicking. I've lost Tara. Ah, where's she gone? Tara, come back. Wait, we've got to get Tara back on. I think she's disappeared. I don't want to come off the live because I want to save the live. Bear with me. I'm getting other requests for other people to be in the video now. Tara needs to request to join us. Hang on a second. Tara, I can't come back. Why can't you come back, Tara? Go out of Instagram, Tara, and then come back in and start watching. Let me see. Hang on. Can Nelly join? Yeah, Tara, join on Nelly's account. Because she was watching, wasn't she? Get Nelly to join. Let's get Tara back on. Right, I'm going to go back through the questions. Hang on a second. So, I don't know. Let's see. I'll give it 2 more minutes. Oh, hang on. Farnham Lashes. Yep. Add. Come on, Tara. Come back.
Oh, I'm back. I'm back. I'm back.
Where did you go?
I don't know. I was panicking. I was like shouting at Nelly to give me her phone. Sorry.
I was like, where is she gone?
I don't know what happened.
Oh,
I don't know.
Tara.
Sorry.
Right, I just want to go back to the questions. We had loads of questions come through and we missed them.
Oh,
right, so with that Lashes on Fleek by Lou about the clear adhesive. So I was saying that I think it depends on what clear adhesive you're using. Merlin has put, so in competition in Russia, when temperature goes all over the place, they taught her to mix the 2 adhesives.
That makes sense.
So maybe that's a bit of a lash hack that we could try.
I have seen that before.
Yeah, but I think if you are planning to mix 2 adhesives, remember, again, insurance purposes and also patch testing, I don't know where we would stand. You would need to check with your insurance. And with my theory, I didn't need to change the speed I work because it's a consistent all year round. So that's Lou. Merlin's put, I don't do it every time, but when nothing works, then I do it. I think everyone started going, oh, cute, I want, where did you get it? Where is the mini Dyson?
About your little lash hair dryer, yeah.
Where's the mini Dyson fan from?
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, so this, very expensive buy from eBay for about £4.
Excellent. Send the link. I love
Go
it.
onto eBay and just put mini USB fan and it can come up. They're all over. There are some lash brands selling them for like £20, but eBay, £4
I'm going to have a look.
Yeah, and it's wireless as well, so you can just pop it on your side, and it's got a few more settings as well. I think it might actually kick us off, Tara. It's saying we've only got 2 minutes left.
Oh no!
We've been rabbiting on. Oh, it's so annoying. But anyway, what else can we talk about quickly? So you're planning on going on to your new trainings.
Yeah.
You're doing your manuals. You're not going to be sending them separately. You're going to come back after lockdown with some more hostings, aren't you?
Yeah, going to get those booked in. Yeah.
Get those booked back in, and maybe look to try some international ones out further.
Maybe, yeah, we might do. And obviously, I'll come to the Lash Social and I'll see you there as well.
Yeah, I'm so hoping that we get that to go ahead.
Fingers crossed we can get that sorted.
Yeah, so I'm going to be busy this weekend anyway, because this is the last Lash Chat Live this week. I'm back on Monday for a really good one, actually. Monica Ostrowska from Sweden is joining me at 9 o'clock, and we're going to be talking all things fantasy lashes. If you haven't seen her fantasy work, it's amazing. So she's joining me on Monday all the way from Sweden. Yeah, from Sweden. The Glam Lash Bar, I think it is, or Glam Beauty Bar. But yeah, if you have just joined us, you can rewatch the live later on the Lash Social page. We've got 45 seconds left, Tara. I don't want to go.
Oh, thank you for having me.
I know. Thank you for joining us and giving a few tips on layering and telling us about your layering manual.
Thanks,
it is on sale now If you want to get any information on Tara's manual, then get in contact with Farnham Lashes and or Tara herself on Facebook. I'm sure she'll be able to help you.
I will do.
Tara, I hope you keep safe in the rest of the lockdown, and I will see you very soon, no doubt. And I'll
Thanks, Jen. And thank you to everyone that's been watching as well. I'll see you soon. Take care.
Yep, I'll see you all on Monday.
See you later. Bye.